Clark and Don heard from the state tomorrow night.
For some reason, I was thinking you'd already.
Welcome to return.
So I have a kind of a procedural question. See how you guys want to deal with this. We typically start at 6.
Right.
We're out a half an hour early. Could we just go? I mean, it was posted for 5 o'clock, but, or should we
If
wait?
it was posted at 5,
Or should we
I'd
wait
say
for 6?
I think we go, and
Yeah.
if there's anything on here that, you know, that
you could take things out of order if
Yeah.
you think there's
Yeah.
stuff that,
there's stuff that.
but if it was posted at 5,
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
And I
Well-
haven't heard from Amy at all.
Well, she's the one who's anxious for these, so.
Text her.
Well, I haven't really reviewed them.
Huh?
I haven't really reviewed them again, so,
Yeah, hold on, maybe you don't wanna.
and
Okay.
Jeff hasn't reviewed them, if she's not here, I mean, it's gonna be a long agenda.
Okay,
Um,
I'm good.
okay, we're coming out we came out of executive session, after having a discussion with our attorney regarding a legal matter, I don't recall what time, 2 minutes ago.
5:30.
5:30, I have 2 brief announcements. One is, we had a question posed last week at our meeting where, that basically, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, asked if the executive session held by the nominating committee of the library committee a few weeks back, I don't have the date, which was intended to be an executive session, but was recorded inadvertently and posted on YouTube. There was a question about whether it was procedurally entered into legally, which it probably was not, but our attorney advises us that clearly that was the intent. And there are privacy concerns of individuals that were discussed. So her advice is that we keep the YouTube video non-public. So to protect individuals' privacy. The other thing is, I'm announcing that at our next meeting, which I don't think we've scheduled, have we? Well, July,
Yeah, 18?
it might not be our next meeting, but July. The 18th.
Yeah.
July 18th, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting, we're gonna have an agenda item to discuss the matter that I just referred to, and we're gonna invite the person who spoke public comment, which was Maureen at the last meeting, the person who sent us the letter, Candace. Can't remember her last name.
Smith?
Smith. And the 3 individuals that were in the meeting to have a discussion about that, and that's all we're gonna discuss tonight on that. I didn't miss anything, did I? Okay,
That was on the
So-
18th.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
is it the 18th?
Yeah.
I don't have my calendar.
yeah, it is.
So. Okay, and I guess we'll move on. We'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, adjustments to the agenda. I would like to add. We got a quote to reside the Little Red Schoolhouse, actually Beverly. St. Clair got it from an individual. I'd like to consider that, because if that individual has indicated to Beverly that if he's gonna do it, there's something he needs to put it on his calendar basically now. And Terry, wasn't there something else?
Thought there was, but I can't think of it.
The
Then,
Article 10.
well, I think we can deal with that when we
Oh, okay.
deal with the warrant, right?
Yep, you're right.
I thought there was something else. First one there was. Oh, well, David
Appointment.
Alba is coming tonight, and he indicated he had a couple of things that he wanted to talk about. I'm not sure exactly what they are. One of them I know is that new law where they accumulate personal time. And how is that gonna be handled? And Terry's looked into that. Because they don't actually. We'll get there when we get there. And anything else? Jeff, you had something?
Well, we've already got a line for appointments.
Yes, that was the other thing I was thinking. Okay, appointments. Okay. We have a request from Krista Trevor to be appointed. All right. So. Let's accept the minutes. Or is there a motion to accept the minutes of May 23rd and 30th? Is
So moved.
there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll skip by this because I think these folks are. We'll skip by the resiliency committee grant application and solar array projects. I think they're thinking about. Then we're meeting at 6. Same thing with C, B. We still no Amy. So we want a motion to table.
Yeah, I'm moving. Table D,
B.
or B to our next.
I'll second
to our
that.
18.
And. Or maybe we need to set up another workshop to deal with this. Can you explore that with her?
Yeah.
And maybe closer to town meeting, because there might be some little thing we need to deal with just before town meeting that often comes up. Okay, all those in favor of tabling to a future meeting? Okay, 3-0. Okay, let's talk about the executing the town meeting warrant. I think. We have two things I would like to discuss related to that. I don't know if anybody else has anything else, but Article 10 deals with public works. And if you recall, when we put that together, we didn't know whether the paving on Island Road and Rockledge, a little bit on Rockledge Road and Village Road was gonna happen before or after July 1st, so we sort of included that in the motion, I mean, in the article, and it now has. We sort of included the fact that it would happen after July 1st. Made that assumption, but it didn't happen before July 1st, so now there's too much money in that article, cut it short. Terry, did Mark email have that in here?
Yeah,
Yes, it was, no, it's 2 pieces of paper that are somewhere sitting where you are.
Yeah. So, I think there's 2 ways we can deal with this. We, as I put in the email, we can either change the article tonight, which I think requires us reconvening the budget committee, or potentially does. Or we can offer an amendment on the town's meeting floor to decrease the article based on what we in essence spent prior to July 1st, which I prefer that method,
that seems simpler.
much simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And I would, I wrote up what I would propose and why. I would propose decreasing that article by $66,526 and And I laid out the funding adjustments, on how we fund that new amount, which is now 316. Instead of 368 or whatever it was, 320, excuse me, 383. And I double checked my math, and Jeff, I'd appreciate it. If
I did.
You would?
I did.
So it ends up being what?
So. The front
316,
reserves,
838?
yes.
Okay.
316, 838.
It'll stay the same in the article as
Right.
went on the warrant. we
But this
signed.
is what we want to change.
But at the meeting, we'll make a
Okay.
motion to decrease it, and probably nobody will like
I wouldn't think they would.
to stick with that. And then there were a couple of other sort of salient, related matters on how the paving was funded and what the carryover and so on and so forth, but we need to deal with that. We just needed to deal with Article 10, so that's that. Other thing is, that I wanted to briefly talk about. In retrospect, I wish we had. On the land purchase that we're contemplating, I wish we had talked to Klein about if for some reason the larger parcel doesn't get approved. Would they be interested in just selling that little tiny acre parcel? Because it's gonna be completely enclosed by townland if the Smith article passes. So I called Jennifer Cooley and asked that question. She said she'd get back to me about that. She hasn't yet. So again, I think this, if you guys are so inclined, there's two ways we could deal with that. We could add an article to this warrant. But I think that requires budget committee meeting again, personally. Or if that Klein article gets defeated on the town meeting floor, we could make a motion to reconsider it for the limited purpose of discussing the small, perhaps the purchase of the small parcel, and hopefully by then we would have a price.
Okay.
But people would have to vote to do that,
Right.
have to reconsider. And I just wondered if you guys had any interest in that at all. In that, if for some reason the larger goes down, and you have any interest in just thinking about the little
That
tiny
one.
piece that would be.
Yeah.
completely
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
And I think at town meeting would be the place to do it, because we'll know whether or not they're willing to, and we'll know whether or not the town has already looked at
Yeah.
this.
But if they vote it down, we'll actually have to make a motion to reconsider. We can say it for this limited purpose,
Right.
but the meeting will have to vote to do
Right.
that. We just can't do it.
Right.
Okay, so we'll leave that like that.
Mhm.
Anything else? Is there a motion to execute the warrant? You have the right date and time in there?
I hope so.
We need to- I've got a copy of, it must be an old one I'm looking at.
Why, the one was one in the packet.
June 20th.
Is there one in the packet?
Yeah.
There's,
What-
the one in the packet that I'm looking.
This?
Yeah, it's got spend up to 12,500 on Article 6.
Yeah, isn't that what we,
I thought we were gonna not put a number, if you just, because see now,
no, I thought we decided to spend up to,
Up
but
to,
there's no recommendation.
except that I thought we had agreed on a number with them of 16,000. Right?
No, I thought it was 12,500. No, you're right.
No.
No, you're right, you're right.
This
you're
was
right.
the, this is
Yeah,
the,
that's not right.
and
That's not correct, you're right.
And I thought what we had done is taken it out. And just left it open, and then we were gonna say,
to see what some,
yes.
Yeah,
to see-
we were.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yes,
Yeah, I do remember that now.
it was just gonna say to see what some, right?
Yes,
So what is it, so I can type that up and,
Yeah,
get it reprinted right now.
to see if the town wants, Blackwood. I guess to see what sum the town will authorize the select board to expend from undesignated fund balance. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
To see what sum. Strike it,
Town.
Yeah. The town will authorize the select board to expend
spend, strike up to 12,500.
from undesignated,
Yeah,
okay.
I can make it. Good catch, Jeff.
I was thinking, I was looking at that folder. And the number was 16, correct? That's what we're gonna,
I don't have, I believe, so I want to double check that, but I think it was 16, yes. And I did reconfirm that with her. I sent out an email. There was still would ask about that, I think.
okay, that's the only thing I got.
You know, I just realized I skipped public comment. Well, I know, I did on purpose, because I thought the public would
Come
walk in
later.
here about 6. So remind me to go back to it.
Okay,
So do you,
So I'll move that we accept the town warrant with those corrections.
I'll second that.
do we would want to just wait till she has it, print it?
We're gonna sign the last one. That's what this.
It's probably. Everything else is over there.
We want,
On the warrant. I think we signed it.
we haven't signed it.
That I didn't think she and I had something that.
We did.
Okay, good person, hold the one.
But I think
Wow.
you just need to reprint the
The
first
first,
page.
first page. the first
Yeah.
page. Is
Yeah.
it double sided? Something you want to do?
Yeah, just make sure something doesn't jump on the next page and then
It is.
I'm just gonna reprint them all.
yeah, I think you.
Well, we piecing it together and.
These errors have a way of compounding.
Great, that. Sorry about that.
No. Lot to it, lot going on, lot to remember. I'm gonna just throw this away. Or recycle it.
So for this year's paving. You are using some funds out of the reserve.
Yeah, it'll be,
Well, not quite, see.
well,
Enough.
a couple $100 shy of it.
Well, that's for both of them together, both years together, right?
Yeah, right.
So do you need to authorize?
Well, I think we do when the time comes.
But it's this year, so.
Oh, no, we've already used it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't hurt,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
but I think that was my understanding of our intent, okay.
It
We
absolutely
didn't know
was.
how it was gonna.
Right, it was absolutely our intent, and we discussed it, but I.
Guess what? It's already done, so.
Right, yeah.
Make sure it reads right. And then here's a copy of something.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay. So,
So you didn't print the whole thing?
I did print the whole thing. I just printed that, so
Yeah.
you could each look at it.
Yeah.
Make sure it read it correctly.
All right, so, yeah, so why don't we just have a clean motion to approve the town meeting warrant as presented, sorry. Okay,
That's it. So I move that we approve and execute the town meeting warrant as presented.
Okay.
I'll
Further discussion, second,
I'll second that.
further discussion. All those in favor? Aye. And you did get someone to post it?
Yes, Lynn's gonna post it tomorrow after.
Soup.
Yeah. Or quiche. I think they've switched to quiche.
There you go.
The warmer weather.
That's before it gets messed up. So, do we want to add that as an adjustment to the agenda?
Yes, so I'll make a motion that we formally authorize the use of reserve funds in this year, this budget year, for the paving, from the paving reserve.
You want to put an amount on that, or? I just
Like
put that away.
Yeah, I just put it away too.
I think it probably should. It was 67,243.
Okay, so I'll move that we authorize the use of $67,243 from the paving reserve. Yeah, to be used. Yeah, right, 67,243 from the paving reserve to be used for paving.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
You just said adjustment, I guess?
Yeah,
yeah, to authorize use of reserve funds for paving. Just so we should have a formal vote on that.
Yep.
All right, why don't we go to not quite six. Let's go to the discussion of assigned fund balances. That's always a popular discussion. So Terry, what do we have in front of us here? These are the current ones and their current balances,
Yes,
okay. I'm just gonna run down, and so we have the balance of that library relocation fund. Do we want to continue to carry that forward?
but we're gonna use it to put fuel in the,
And those bags.
oh, we kind of talked about it.
So I'm assuming we do, I'm just
Yeah.
asking the question.
so the balance, after we take out the fuel.
Yeah, all of these will end up being the balance on June 30, because some of them may have. The tenant and basketball court repair, that's actually falsely deflated, right? Because when we get the grant reimbursement, that will bounce back up again.
Right.
But those are the donations,
Yes,
so I don't think we have any choice, but, I mean, people didn't give those to go into our surplus, they gave them for a dedicated purpose, so. We good with that?
Mm-hmm,
Same with the skateboard fund,
mm-hmm.
same with the lost lives. The fuel assistance, in-kind fuel assistance fund. That's been hanging around for like 8-9 years, we've never used it. And in some ways, it doesn't make sense to use it, because when someone comes in and needs fuel assistance, we give them general assistance, and we get half back from the state.
Right.
But it was given to us for that purpose by the guy who used to saw the logs over on 131,
Mm-hmm,
his front yard over there.
yep.
Can't remember his last name. Or we just carry it and carry it and carry it. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel obliged to carry it again.
Or we could maybe donate it to some agency that deals with fuel systems. And say it's for a South Thomaston resident.
That's
I mean, we need to carry it tonight anyways.
Right.
But maybe we could look into that next year.
Yeah.
The 23 cents, I assume that's just, we don't want to carry that. We want to zero that out, so you don't carry that on the books, but yeah. So we'll zero that out. The Library Community Center donation, $850. I think that was the one donation we've gotten from. What was his name?
James, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so we need to carry that.
Why is that different than the other library donations?
This is for the donation for the new
Okay,
library and community center.
Okay.
It's not for operational use. It was, we had that. We set up two funds here and we told Terry to make sure that she's, when she gets the donation, she's clear which one it's
Okay.
for, so. Conservation Commission. Carry that just to keep it open.
Yep.
Library donations, I think that's definitely. The court project, we need to carry that. That's the money that was approved by the town. We've now carried that a couple of years. Fire department donations. Just interrupt if you don't want to carry it. Beautification project, that's out front. The ambulance savings, that's from donations. The water testing, that's the new account from Cliff.
Mhm.
Fire truck repair reserve. And this 5,000 is money that I held. When Performance paved a lot up here, they did a little damage to the building, the pavement hit the building, and they also didn't do a good job, and they're supposed to come back and fix it. Because the water in it runs in, they came back and did a little temporary fix, the water runs in under the doors, that doesn't happen now because they was a temporary fix. But I held back $5,000. Which probably wasn't enough, but I think we should carry it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because technically,
We owe
if
it.
they come back and fix that, they owe it, although. I think repairing the building might be that much, but anyways. So do we have anything else, Terry, that wasn't, I think we had a couple other. You don't need to deal with any of the paving, because that all happened, we were gonna carry something there. Was that page 26 from the audit?
Yep.
We had nothing new coming this year, no, we don't know who the donations or anything, or? Well, we can, if we come up with something else, we can always, the audit's not gonna be done by the time we meet in July, so we can always. We think of something else, when you're closing out, we can,
I think she's actually coming the 18th.
okay, so that works out nicely. Won't be done yet.
18th of July, yeah.
She won't be done.
Around there.
Yeah.
She's coming in July.
And then obviously we're gonna carry. Don't even need to vote on it, but all the trust funds and that type of stuff. So there's nothing in the recreation budget, because that's basically gonna be
I think that's basically gonna be. The way,
gone because of the,
there might be a little extra wait for when we,
Yeah.
like, contact Susan Ware.
okay,
There, I think there's money left in the capital expense account because we never made the decision on the phones. I don't know if we want to
Oh.
carry
Yeah.
that.
oh, we might want to,
Yeah.
$1,800 left because the server was a little more.
I think we should, you guys?
Yes,
You can give us the number, I'll put 1,800 QBD.
I think it's like 18, I want to say 1883. But I will double check it.
Okay. So, realizing that we can add to this Is there a motion to approve carrying these forward? Which basically means they don't close the circuit.
Right.
Yeah, I move to be carry forward the balances as adjusted and indicated.
I'll second that.
Is there further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. 3-0. Hi, how are you doing? Is your solar contingency year in full? Okay. We'll move to you guys then. For those of you who don't know, everybody knows Kathleen, she's representing us resiliency today, and I'm in Link,
Lincoln's gonna be the spokesman.
right, Link O'Neill, and then Nancy Gosling, right? Yeah, and you're also here for them, okay. They basically, the grant application is due the 7th, and they're looking for sort of a concept or the approval to submit it. Concept, it's based on the RFP to create a solar array that would be located at the grounds on Gilbert Butler, because that turned out to be the easiest place to tie it in, but it can be basically tied in to the grid. It can be tied in anywhere. It's just cheaper if you can go through a building, but I'll link it into that. Sure. So if you guys don't mind, Link's gonna give you a brief presentation.
Yeah, great. So do you all have the proposal in front of you from Sundog? So yeah, basically we did a site walkthrough with them. We looked at a number of different sites. We looked at the dump site here on Stump Road. Hi there. And looked over at Guilford Butler. They were very enthusiastic about Guilford Butler because of the ample southern exposure. That's where you're gonna get your best efficiency. And then also that generator switch that was put in, that's already an investment that now we can leverage for this solar installation. They're going to tie right into that and make it really easy to connect to the grid. The best parts about this proposal is that it comes in under the $50,000 grant mark that we are applying for, which means that basically this is going to come out at no cost to the town. The way that the grant works is that once we get pending your approval, we submit our grant application. We would find out in the fall if we got it or not. And then maybe a month and a half later, we would have cash in hand and be able to hand it off to Sundog. So it's not a reimbursable grant. We get the cash in hand. We make payment to them. And then they're able to start working on some of the engineering deliverables, procurement, and then providing installation within a 90-day window that they give us once we make our down payment. Any questions so far on just kind of that timeline? Okay, great. I also want to highlight that this is going to offset, over half of our electricity costs. I think you can kind of see they on one of those pages they kind of put like a payback schedule there. But this system is going to, it's already free, but it's going to immediately put a big dent in our electricity costs as a town, which adds up year over year. It is not a 100% offset. We will still have to pay CMP a little bit, but there's an option to expand it later on if more funds became available. And there's plenty of space in the field at Guilford Butler to make that expansion should we be interested in going that route in the future. Yeah, other like technical questions or things.
Yeah, but point out a couple of things. When you say our electricity, you're talking collectively, this building, Guilford Butler, the salt shed.
Yes.
The little shed at the stump dump.
Yes.
And not street lights.
Okay, yeah, it's electrical costs that are currently paid through tax dollars is the big incentive to folks in the town.
Street lights are paid through tax.
Okay.
But they're not part of this thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure the people are clear on that.
Tax rebate.
Oh, yes, right, so we get the $50,000 cash, a grant in hand. Sundog is asking for a 30% deposit that we will pay using that grant, so again, no upfront cost to the town. And then once we give them that deposit, they'll start doing procurement and showing us some of the deliverables. They'll do their installation. And then for our, let's see, it'll be our I believe our 2025 tax return season, so our 2024 taxes, we can file for a federal tax return, tax rebate, tax credit based off of this solar installation.
Yeah, we don't accept.
Well, we can.
No, we can't.
We can't.
We've
Even though
talked
we don't
with
pay
other
tax.
municipalities.
What?
We've gotten it done.
Yeah, I was,
So is that part of the new?
that was one of my questions too. is
Yeah.
How do we get a tax rebate when we don't?
Well.
Because they're tax exempt.
Let them explain.
Right, so
So they can file.
there was a recent expansion under the investment, was it the IRA? I don't know what it stands for. Does anybody remember? That federal bill that passed through?
Yeah.
The infrastructure bill?
There you go, that one, yeah, infrastructure bill. That allowed small towns like ourselves, municipalities to take advantage of that federal tax credit. So,
We actually get cash.
yeah, and so we're gonna be basically getting free money from the state, and then we get that money cash back in our next tax cycle. So that is, kind of like income to the town. It would be nice if we can tell the grant people at the state that like some of that is being put into further community resilience investments. However, it will be returned to the general fund of town.
Now, I thought the intent was to use that as potential expansion money.
Yes, so that is,
Up to increase you're saying now it's about 50% of our.
no, it's over 50%. I believe it's like about 70. Does anybody else remember?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Whatever.
60?
I thought the intent was to sort of use that money as perhaps seed money or leverage money to expand that system to get it up to 100%. And actually, you could go over 100%.
So, I am not 100% sure about the CMP regulations because CMP is paying us for all of the excess electricity that we generate, and they're not keen on paying us more than they have to, right? So I think going over 100, I don't know if that's allowed, but in terms of using it as seed money, that's definitely a possibility, but we're not locked into that in this part of the grant cycle. I just want to make that clear that we would come back to you again and go through this similar process for review and proposal.
But
There may be another grant, we don't know.
Right.
Right.
But I just wanted to sort of to discourage the idea that all of a sudden, that this money would be available to whatever, just lower taxes or contribute to the fire truck or whatever,
Sure, yes, we would have to say what happened to it through our grant deliverables, but yeah, it would be a conversation for a later date in terms of the specifics.
Question here.
What we had for a conversation was to expand it to 100% would only cost about 20, 30,000.
30,000.
20 to 30,000 more. So if that 14 could be added in, that's half of it.
Mhm.
And if there is no grant, we've talked about fundraising in the community.
Yeah.
To make up that difference, to eventually get that to full capacity.
And we're talking a year from now anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a while, right?
Yeah, which. Because that wouldn't, it would be when you file in 25, like said.
Right, so it's actually 2 years from this spring,
Yeah.
that we're currently passing through. That we would actually be dealing with the tax credit and deciding what to do with it.
Because it comes out to like 14,000 something. isn't it?
Yes,
Wait, did Sundog say anything about when they would be available? Oh, we have written money first, but when they would be able to do it
right.
this year or next year?
So they right now are, the advantage of going with Sundog over some of the other organizations or companies that we looked at too, is that their turnaround time is about 4 months, right? And the proposal that they've given us is guaranteeing that same time window, the same cost, dollar per kilowatt cost for a system at some point in the future, once we have the actual cash in hand. So that could be breaking ground maybe as early as like December, if things are going really well, but might be looking into actually, spring, depending on what their construction needs are. Yeah, and then in terms of timeline for construction, they're confident they can get it done in 1 business week. So, their ground crew takes 3 days, their electrician takes 2 days. So, altogether, if it's sequential, it could be 5 days, it could be as little as 3 days for construction.
So the other thing I just wanted to bring up was, a couple of things on the siting, we looked at this space out here,
Yeah,
and that's tied up with that encumbrance from the recreation. And we'd have to get out from under that, and that's a long process. We looked at the old dump, I won't call it a landfill, on the way up to the stump dump. That has some advantages because they're actually encouraging people to put these on those types of things, but there's not a good hookup setup out there. The salt shed is a tough environment for this
Yeah,
type of material,
think
with
so.
salt and
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
And it's a long way to the little shed, and that has a very small meter, so that would require a meter upgrade. The other thing you could do there is hook it right to the grid. But that requires a meter, another meter, and another meter feed. It goes on and on forever.
Right.
So basically, Sundog felt that the Guilford Butler site had the best advantages, if you will, from a technical perspective. But I want everyone to understand that we all know that the future of that building and what's happening down there is still up in the air, and we're moving towards a plan. At least at this point, that doesn't include that building, and look to a new building. But they've assured us that this system is relatively easy, movable. It doesn't lock us, kind of pen us in, and none of that, it would be off to the side.
Right.
Yeah, that was gonna be.
So, yeah.
so
so-
it's not hard if that space were where they wanted to do construction to actually move that system. Is that what you're
Right, they
saying?
said that you can move it, yeah.
Okay.
Relatively easy, they're,
Yeah.
No, I-
and they do move them all the time. I mean, if you put it on a roof.
You can take it, put it on the
Right.
ground.
If you got a re-roof, they have to move it.
Right.
They re-roof, so,
no, I
there is
thought,
a cost, but it's
Yeah.
not.
I thought I read somewhere too, something about suggested of fencing or something to discourage climbing or,
So, from a permitting perspective, I talked with Lily representatives about this. From a permitting perspective, there is no requirement for fencing. I think originally we were under the impression of like a 7-foot fence being required, but that's not the case. It's mostly because it is so close to the playground, we want to discourage children from being on there. And there are a couple of things that we have already in hand. We have some 4-foot fencing that could go around that. As well as part of this grant, we need to have a community engagement plan around this project. And our plan is to, put some plantings around the perimeter of that fence so that, it's kind of hard to get through to even climb it if you wanted to. And additionally, to provide some interpretive signage, out further outside to kind of designate, okay, like I'm gonna walk up to this sign and read it, but of course, kids will do what they want, but we're just trying to have some layers, before you get to the actual equipment.
And it is possible, we haven't discussed this with Sundog and I didn't even mention it to you guys, but I got thinking after, and Penny mentioned to me as well, that we got quite a bit of land between the old little the skateboard park and the Tyler House lot, which was a postage stamp lot. And that's a possibility over there too, and that gets it away from the playground, and it's even closer to the switch. And more off to the side, because that's a little piece that goes out towards the church, and remember that old road goes down through there. So,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, what I'll say to that is just that we are coming up against this grant deadline if we want
Yeah.
to get this cycle.
Yeah.
And
but
not
it's
to
the
say,
same side.
yeah, it's the same site, but the proposal that we have, we want you to approve a proposal that already exists. And so that we can say our select board is behind it, we have the company behind it. And so that would require Sundog to come out again, likely to do another site survey.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we hold up the grant, but
Okay.
I'm suggesting before we actually. Sign
Build
the
it,
dotted
yes.
line, we could maybe take a look at that.
Yeah, so maybe a provisional approval on this proposal for the grant.
If you guys are prepared to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got two other,
Yeah,
technical-
go ahead.
do you know the generation of the panels that they're using, the actual solar panels?
Can you say what you mean by generation?
There's, I may have the nomenclatures wrong, it's like S4, S5. Current ones are S5, but they don't have the history on them, so they don't know how long they're gonna last, but they're supposed to be better than the S4s. We have a 20 year
I've got sundogs for both of you.
Okay.
I should say in there.
I just
Yeah,
went through
you
it
got
and
it,
I got it.
You didn't see it on
I
the
did not
equipment there.
see it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually have not heard that nomenclature. Is that for a particular brand of panel or is that
No, well,
for the industry in general?
for the industry in general, a lot of contracts require them to be made in USA.
Yes, that I'm familiar with.
And what they have found is a lot of the companies have stock from USA that is the previous
Yes.
version. And then they have a lot of stock from China.
Mhm.
And so most government most government contracts that require made in USA could only get a couple of companies that could even represent.
Right.
Um,
So two things on that. One, I would say at this point in time, most panels, I haven't heard of any panels except for maybe whatever NASA is using up in space, rated for more than 25 years, right? Like what they're talking about when it comes to generation is really the efficiency per like square inch, right? Like how densely they can pack those receptors in. And the pricing that we got is based off of a particular dollar per kilowatt value, right? And so we're basically, with this proposal, we're agreeing that like the dollar per kilowatt value that they've given us is, we're okay with that. And they're gonna find us a panel that matches that dollar per kilowatt when we're ready to move forward with the build. And like I said before, so you have the efficiency and then you have like the 25-year lifespan. And we're really not gonna be able to get anything better than that 25 years right now. All they're doing is increasing the efficiency in the future.
And we are purchasing the solar panels, right?
Yes, we are owning all the equipment, yes.
And what do we do at the end of those 25 years? What do we do with the panels?
So that's a great question, and I think there are a lot of organizations that are figuring out ways to recycle, decommission, that sort of thing. That's not under Sundog's purview, and we haven't discussed that as a committee yet, but I would be interested to take that up,
That's 25 years away and you can't.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of government grants are requiring that you have
A decommission.
a decommissioning plan in place
Yeah, I don't think. that-
when you start it. And have you gone to the planning board, taken this to our planning board yet?
I don't
No,
think so.
no, we have not.
Because I'd have to check with the CEO, but I'm not sure if this falls under their purview or not.
Yeah, because there's a small unit doesn't,
But
a large unit does.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they need to go to the planning board prior to submitting the grant. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get that started.
Only if the planning board is gonna say something like, you need a 6-foot privacy fence
Yeah,
and you've got to have security lights or whatever the planning board decides.
What constitute a large or small system by that?
It's
that's kind of the question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's in the
It's so many square feet,
it's
isn't
in
it?
our land use ordinance.
Oh, I see it. It's the size of the footprint, not the
Correct.
KW size.
But they're all,
Well,
but it's also commercial, and this is a non-commercial, this is a municipal use.
Right.
So it could be argued that it's being used for municipal use. So I'm not even positive it have to go to the planning board. It may just be a CEO
I think
permit.
so too.
Because if a private individual wanted to put in their own solar, they don't go before the planning board, or they do.
Well, they do if they trip,
They're supposed to go to the planning.
Well, they have
They don't have to go to the planning.
They gotta
but
go see
get a
it.
permit.
you're supposed to get a
Right.
permit.
Yeah. you
Right.
get a permit.
Yeah.
And
But the ordinance has a certain
Threshold.
threshold where it all of a sudden becomes not a CEO decision, but a planning board decision, which means you gotta get on the agenda and take a month and,
Sure.
so.
Okay.
But that's something we need, Terry can check
Yeah, and then-
tomorrow and you're right, where this is a municipal facility, that may exempt it from this.
correct. And it may be that we can exempt. The select board may be, because it's a municipal, we may exempt it from paying a permitting fee.
Well, yeah, we typically have, like when we built this addition, we waived the fee.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, so.
Right.
Do we know when their next meeting is in case we do have to go and chat with them?
So I could be.
Okay, so after the grant deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you need to be on
I
the
mean, June
agenda,
15th, I'm sorry.
Oh, June 50.
yeah.
Right,
The agenda deadline probably close or is closing soon.
It's soon.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we could do
like-
that Friday.
tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, on Thursday,
Okay,
no, the week after, no, yeah, I gotta go. I don't know, I'm long.
You can't do two jobs at once.
yes,
No,
Yeah, 15th a week from Thursday.
and that's the third Thursday, right?
Yeah. because I'm happy to go and chat with them, but maybe it'd be good to hear from you, Terry, tomorrow if. we
Yeah,
need
because
to
it
do
may,
that.
it may be that you don't even need to go
Mhm.
to the planning.
But if
board.
you do need to go, I'll put you on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
I'll let you know.
Great.
Yeah, and you gotta fill out an application and. Well, in either case, you gotta fill out an application.
Okay.
But it's not very complicated. application.
And so where it's located, if we decided tomorrow that we were gonna tear down the current building that's there at the school.
Yes.
Or for the library and build a new one. That we right now don't think that the footprint will infringe upon that property.
So I think there's a question for the construction company that you'd be working with, if they would be willing to like. Not stage their equipment near the solar array, you know, that would be something you want to work with them, but there is a lot of space around Guilford Butler for staging equipment. I would say that we would not, as a town, see any financial benefit from the system until. The meter on Guilford Butler was reattached to the
Right.
new system.
Right, so during construction, we'd get nothing
Yeah,
out of
shut
it.
down.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be out of operation.
But it may not be shut down for the entire construction.
Right, exactly.
Some.
And I imagine all the equipment that you have on Guilford Butler right now, that generator switch, electrical panel, you're gonna take that off and put it right back on the new building.
That was certainly the intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we purchased that, we wanted to make sure it was transferable to the new building. So,
Yeah, that's something I think everybody needs to understand. We've been very, very clear from the minute we met in September last year. That anything that we got would have to be transferable. And that's been focused ever since
Yeah.
we started.
Sue? Questions?
I've asked everything. Is that-
So what do we need?
Well,
Do
I
we-
think they would like to, as I understand, they would like a motion to submit the grant application based on the Sundog proposal for this purpose. And two, to accept the Sundog proposal pending receipt of the grant.
So moved.
I'll second
Okay,
that.
so is that one motion or two?
I think one motion.
One,
Did you get that?
I'm not sure.
You should have known I was gonna say that.
When I was typing, I just couldn't type that fast.
Further discussion? Anybody else want to offer anything? Questions? You guys have really worked hard on this, I know,
Yeah.
so.
And John, you've been a great support, you know, connecting us with the select board and making sure we keep it in line.
Yeah, and I apologize, I completely forgot about the planning board, but there's so many wheels involved. All those in favor? Okay, good to go.
Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. all of you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
thank you for all the work you've done on that.
I think I would like to talk to you a little bit about at some point that other.
Yeah,
that Other area, away from the playground, it's closer to the front.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize. Quite frankly, until Penny pointed out to me how much land there is that it kind of goes down in and, you know.
Yeah, I think,
So,
It'd be closer to the road though.
yeah, but also
Which
close.
may make it an attractive nuisance.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's pros and cons, but.
yeah, I don't want to derail discussion now, but yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Right. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. You guys are welcome to stay, but of course you don't have to.
Thank you, my stomach. Thank you all.
Okay,
Thank you.
so. Jumping around, I'm gonna go back to, is there any public comment for items not on the agenda? Hearing none. Let's take up Krista. I guess Chris is actually here now for two reasons.
Yeah.
Let's deal with the. Should be the quicker one for us. Chris is interested in being appointed to the Georges River Shellfish Committee, not the joint board, but the committee
Committee.
that,
The worker.
Yeah, the word would be that we have a vacancy because of Bernie's passing, correct, Terry?
Yes,
I don't know what the term is, if you have any
it was
information.
supposed to expire. Or be reappointed after the first select board meeting after the annual town meeting, so I just did it until then, and then get her on the same schedule as everybody else.
So Bernie's term was expiring in June?
Yep.
So, okay, so that makes sense. So we would appoint her to June and then just reappoint her
Yeah,
for 3
along
years
with
or
all the-
whatever it is
Yep.
come June. To get you in the same cycle, so. Questions, or do you want to tell us why you're interested in this appointment?
They said that there was an opening
Yeah.
and I offered, I actually was asked if I was interested and I didn't even know there was an opening and I said that I.
Well, she just passed away.
Yeah. So very interested to be on the committee to, help out and, work together.
Okay.
With everyone.
Questions? Our other representative is Travis Bog on this group.
I think it is, but I. was not
Haven't heard from him lately.
His name is mentioned in the meeting
Yeah.
and I've seen his name listed,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, when I was on the joint board, he seemed to be attending the meetings and stuff, so,
Mhm.
okay.
I haven't seen him, but
Well, again, that would not be the same
Yeah.
meeting you go to, but yeah, so. Okay, is there a motion to appoint Krista to after the June 2023 town meeting?
So moved.
I'll second that.
And that's no reflection on you with the short appointment, it's just getting you back on the same cycle like currently. All, and then we'll do it again, all those comments, questions, all those in favor? Okay, thank you for volunteering. The other issue is, I understand Carrie has indicated that you are interested in using the green area near the town landing, the so-called Memorial Park, for an event. So why don't you just kind of take your own words, explain what you're asking for.
Yes, so John, the painter, reached out to me. He owns some Airbnbs and was interested in doing a shopping event and asked if I would be willing to. And so we kind of put our heads together to figure out where we could do such an event. And we thought that would be a good area for people to come because it's right on the river. They can see where the oysters come from. And it's convenient for me to do it there. But we didn't know if it was gonna be, too busy, so we thought maybe on a Sunday it would be, the best day to do something like this, so. And we just wanna try it to see how it goes. If you guys are opposed to the idea, then I can go to his Airbnbs. But I thought it would bring business to the gig as well, so.
I looked. My understanding is that property down there, the landing and the green came to us in 2 separate parcels. And that the green was dedicated as a World War II memorial. I can't find the deed on it. Terry looked for it, can't find anything. I've been told that. I don't know if that's true or not. There is a World War II memorial there, and I do personally have a little trouble with having an event like this on what I consider a World War II memorial, but that's just my personal thoughts. I don't have as much problem with the land.
Yes, and I'm almost the opposite.
You're the opposite, okay.
And as we discussed last time when we were talking about, my concern is we have never allowed commercial operations at the landing or at the moment. And I just don't want to break that egg.
Well, we have the Lions,
That's not a commercial.
It's a
operation. That's a
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
but there was a
Donation.
company in there making money.
No, they were
They were
paid.
donating
They were
proceeds
donating.
to the,
They made hardly anything. They paid for the stuff. That was not a commercial operation. That was when it was the tacos, and that was not commercial.
I mean, I kind of go with Jeff. I'm worried about opening it up to commercial.
Mhm.
I mean, because this is clearly commercial. This is with customers coming there and meeting the customer. I would also make sure that you check the license that you would be required to do that. Your license to sell oysters does not allow you
To
to sell
serve.
shucked oysters.
Right.
Okay, so there's
That's
a,
the reason they'd be shucking their own oysters. I'm just like showing them how to do it.
yeah.
I think you might still want to check on that.
And once you get on the shellfish committee, you'll find
Yeah.
that because there was some discussion of doing this once before, and it had to go through a convoluted process. The oyster owner had to transfer ownership of the oysters to Jess's Food Market, who would then have to use their license to be able to sell shucked oysters to the public. So I think this is more complicated than you may know, but again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right. I've heard something like this before.
Well, the
So
other-
I will definitely look into it further.
The other concern that I had is, and I don't know what you meant by that, but I think it was an invitation or an ad or an announcement, it said something about bring your own favorite beverage or something, and I didn't know if you meant if that included alcohol or not. I mean, to me, it would, but that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, the idea was, they could purchase what they wanted to at the gig store for a drink, whether it be, an alcoholic beverage or not.
Yeah. And I think that
You can't do.
steps it up to
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
level, if there's alcohol on public.
Right.
Uh,
Even when the Lions are selling hot dogs, they have to police anybody who's out there to make sure that they're not consuming alcohol. So that's part of the whole thing, but yeah, so I'm not personally, I'm not in favor of this request. Oh, and it's also because if you do it, then anybody else who wants to do it is gonna say, well, you let them do it, why can't I?
Right.
Why were you play favorites with them and you won't let me sell my Taj Mahal buildings that I create at home and now I'm selling them at the down landing, so.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you, but if a group of people approached us and said we'd like to do a farmer's market down there, would we turn that down? I mean, there's farmers markets on public property all over this country.
Well, and we've held them there at the library across the street. I really don't have.
Well, at the library, yeah, they've held craft fairs and people have sold, and that's public property, so.
I'm not, it's not public property. It's the landing, which has a purpose, and the memorial park. Across the street I have no problem at all, people selling commercially over there.
And the-
Not just because it's
Well,
public property.
right,
And the crafter thing too, though, is they're charging them to be there and that makes it a fundraiser
True,
for them.
yeah, but there's nothing saying. In theory, we couldn't charge Krista or we couldn't charge someone else. I mean, she may not agree to that, but.
Yeah, I'm not doing it because it's public property. That's not. the
Okay,
reason.
all right.
It's because it's the town landing and the memorial park.
Okay, now, of course, if at this point, if Krista wanted to do it across the street. At the old library, that we lease to the historical society, so would you say that that would be up to them?
Yes.
The Historical Society, yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah, no, that's great.
But
You
you'd
can-
still,
that's up to them.
you'd still have to monitor the alcohol and you'd still have to get through whatever it is you have to do to be able to
Right. But that's,
have the oysters.
but that's not our business,
Right.
although
Right.
we still own that property.
Right. So if it were alcohol, we'd have to.
Is the memorial, just where, like, the submarine is, or? is it
No,
where the
it's that
picnic
green
tables-
area to the left
Oh,
with the,
is the green
yeah, where the
area.
picnic tables are and stuff, yeah. And I believe that I've heard several times from Carolyn or someone way back 25 years ago that came to us in two different parcels.
Yeah.
And that there actually used to be a service station right where the landing is. Dennison owned it.
Hmm.
It's going way back before my time, but
I thought it was actually right across the line, closer to where the post office is, but
I don't.
I mean, not the post office, the gig store,
Okay,
anyway.
so, I don't, so you made a request from us, so I think we need to have a vote if we're gonna, deny permission for this, so. You wanna make a motion to that effect?
I'll move that we deny permission.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Anything else you wanna add? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Good. Maybe not good for you, but.
Can I add?
I
Can
can
I-
always.
Yeah, sure. You can approach it historical society.
And the other thing, he asked about green crabs.
Yeah,
That was in that email too.
and I wasn't sure, yes, I wasn't sure if.
Bring it up with the shellfish
Okay,
committee, because they actually have purview over that.
all right, yeah, see, I wasn't sure if you guys had the kind of a.
No,
story
we
to say
we delegate,
your
we
name
don't
on
delegate,
that,
but
so.
transfer that to them. That's one of their.
Yeah, I'm not sure they have purview over it in the gig though. Do they? Does that ordinance apply to the gig?
Oh, yeah,
The
I
shellfish,
thought-
yes, it does.
It does, I thought it applied,
Five towns.
I know, but I thought it applied to the Georges River watershed.
yeah, but it also includes, if clammers want to clam in the gig, they've got to go through
Oh.
the same
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
All right, okay, that was not my understanding. And,
Yeah.
well, and the other thing is, isn't that closed to clamming completely?
I think so, which is why doing the green crabs is under the same,
Yeah.
there's some same kind of restriction at the green. crab.
Yeah. I'm not, okay, I was always under the impression that the Georges River shellfish could be dealt with the Georges River watershed, not the gig, and not the gig, but I could be wrong. Okay, let's move on. David just joined us. David, I asked David if he could just give us a brief update on, where we're at with the fire truck purchases, not only for us, but I think for the public too, because town meeting's coming up and, we voted on this last year and see it like. Give us a brief update on that.
Yep, so I did reach out just to get a recent update from the salesman. And we're still looking at, as of right now, when he looks it up, we're looking at January for the tank truck. And May for the rescue truck, the utility truck. He did say that some other town in Maine just got bumped, pushed further out, 4 months from what they were in line. Because of it was like a Dodge truck that they had bought or something, and it pushed them back because of the Dodge. But as of right now, nothing's changed since last time I talked to him. This time we're still in that same line. And the 2 trucks are gonna come at separate times. That's all he had for me. There's nothing really new. Besides wait to see when it gets closer, if it gets pushed back or we get it in January, yes.
That really shocks me that the tanker is ahead of.
Yeah,
We do, we talked to all of us, yeah, we thought it'd be completely opposite, but it's before chassis, I guess, international just that much quicker, and it's all it is the waiting on the chassis. Because it doesn't take them no time to get the bodies. They build the bodies and it doesn't take them no time to do that, it's just waiting to get these chassis in. And they're still backed up from all the COVID stuff and it's taking forever.
Yeah. So we're still looking at a price hold though, there's no issue there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Everything
All right,
good
well, I
there.
just want to make,
Yeah.
and you guys got your technical too long issues and all that stuff ironed out and.
Yep, so we did sign off on the final specs, everything should be where we need it to be, so
Okay. So you're basically at this point just waiting.
that's it, yeah.
We've done your work and there's nothing really else. to do.
Nope. And then once they come in, we'll go down to one of the local, the dealer, and then that's when we pick the graphics and everything for it, and then they put all those on, the lettering and stuff, and then we'll get it.
Question? No?
No,
And I mentioned, when we adjusted the agenda that you said you had a couple other things you wanted to bring up.
Just quickly, So I had a detailer come in. He does more than detailing, but, to look at the 2 trucks that we know we're gonna be keeping for a while, and the ambulance, I had to look at that too. And because of going down camp roads and stuff like that, you know, the bushes have just, just beating the snot out of the trucks. And so I had him come in to just kind of look at it and give me an idea of what he might recommend, to just try to help out the paint and stuff, where we try to get 30 years out of these. And he had recommended that, he could buff them out, and then he puts a coating. He'll coat the whole truck in this, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's some type of good hard coating that he'll coat the whole truck in that protects on scratches and stuff like that. And then to reapply it, whatever the time frame is that you need to reapply it, it comes in it's like a wash that when you wash the truck, you wash it with this, and it kind of reapplies it, I guess, after the first time that all the manual labor, of getting it ready for it is done. Then reapplying is just pretty much you spray it on and you do something, I'm not sure. So I didn't know if that was something that we could, try to do out of this budget, if we have some money left over right now, to maybe just do 1 truck this year. And then you'll go from there.
Do you know if he's done other trucks for other departments?
I mean, he does regular vehicles, he's done trailer trucks and stuff, definitely not fire trucks, he hasn't done that, but
He has.
he has done semi trucks and stuff like that, but. This would be a first for him doing this, but I mean, it's no different than semi truck.
And how much are we talking?
He gave me quotes on all 3 for high end, if this, his manual labor was longer than what he was expecting, so he gave me a high price. And it could go down from there, and he was figuring about $2,500 for 1 truck. Vehicle.
And do you have money left in your budget for this year?
We do right now.
Yeah.
We only got a couple more.
Yeah,
weeks,
you
right?
already got a
Didn't you have something else that needed to be repaired recently? Has that been taken care of? Was
Yep.
it done?
So that was our engine 51. It ended up being the alternator on the main engine. That's the truck that has 2 motors. And it ended up being the alternator on the main engine that it failed. And the alternator was pretty expensive for that truck, but I don't, unless Terry's seen it, I have not seen the bill yet from Paulson.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
But I know the alternator, just the alternator with no man hours was like $1,000, just over $1,000 for the alternator. And then he had diagnostics and putting it on and everything, changing it out.
So the purpose of this is to help extend the life.
Well, the paint, painting of the paint, scratching it, from going down small roads.
So it's not really for looks though, it's for.
No, not for looks,
It's
it's
for,
trying to get a coating on there. If you go out and look at our 53 right now, you can look down the side and it's all scratches from the branches. Nothing we can do to get down these roads. So I was trying to come up with a way of, is there anything that we could put on this, get him to buff out those scratches, get rid of those. And then put a coating on there, harder coating on there that will protect it. I mean, it might not 100%, but at least give us something to protect this paint for the next 20 years. So, it's just an idea. I just wanted to run it by you guys.
I think it's good use of money.
well, I
It's a
think
question.
particularly if it extends the life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a beauty contest thing.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Unscratched paint means less rust that's
Right,
needed,
yeah.
so.
That,
Had a question here?
Does that include any of the coding?
it doesn't, no, it's all.
The condition is that gonna be if you protect the closet. What do you, what the-
He does do that same thing. He does undercoating through the same business, but I didn't have him price that out, but.
Well,
I'd say part of it, the rest is gonna go.
we ever had it, I mean, they don't
We've never
put
had
that many miles on, so I mean,
In the parking building, we wash it.
they wash it really thoroughly. I'm not sure that's a It's not like our car where we're using it all the time.
We've never had an issue with the frames of the truck, it's always the body panels that rot out down on the corners, or like where just salt and stuff get trapped in there, and we don't get to it washing it. That's where our issues have been. Underneath, but like, you will look at our truck right now, the underneath looks beautiful still.
I guess, David budgeted so much for repairs, he was approved so much, he's the department head, I'm not sure he even needs
I don't
to
think
be
so.
here.
As long as he has money there to do
Well,
it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and,
Our repairs are way over, I think, this year on.
well, but you're told, I mean. it
So you have
shows
money
up,
left.
Oh, the total budget, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, well, okay, if you're a department head, you need to live with your budget, and if you think this is my personal feeling, I don't think he needs to be here.
Right, yeah.
But I'm glad you did, but I don't know, does anyone object?
No, I don't object, and.
No, as long as he's got money to pay for it, yeah.
Okay. So I
Your
guess,
budget's yours.
But
I guess it's your call.
I haven't, really talked to Amy too much, I mean, the ambulance is kind of the same way, that
Yeah.
gets beat up really bad going down these little driveways and roads.
I would caution you, the end of the fiscal year is coming fast,
Yeah.
so.
That was another question, do I just have to have the? I mean, when do I have to have this, like, do I have to have the truck done on the bill in by?
End of the month.
30,
Yeah.
whatever it is?
Yeah,
The bill.
well,
Bill.
I mean, if you had a contract, you could book it as an accounts payable, but then he needs to know the exact amount,
Right,
because we would need to. Book that as an accounts payable, and. So, yeah, I mean, if you had committed to purchase something at, X amount of dollars and it didn't come in. You wouldn't want to pay it until it came in, but Terry would be able to book it as an accounts payable, so. And it sounds like this is not an exact price, it's sort of based on,
He said he priced it high
Yeah.
and it could go down.
Yeah. so. So I guess work with Terry on timing and,
I'll contact him, see if he can get it done, this, where it's getting closer now.
if it's a little bit into July. Trio has a mechanism where you can go in and you go backwards and. We can put it in last year, even though we get it in July, because there are some bills you just,
Prior to the 18th of July.
yes.
yeah, once you start auditing the books.
Yeah.
I'll work with Terry on it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, and then there was another issue?
Yep, just what I had brought up to you about the,
Yeah.
Personal time, or earned personal time, whatever it's called in there. I just wasn't sure how that works on the fire department side. I know like it'd be easier with the per diem side for them to take and use their personal time, because a lot of them are scheduled on like almost the same day every single week, if they needed one off, they could use their personal time and still get paid. But we're not really, we don't have shifts, on the fire side. I just didn't know if you guys have thought about, how we supposed to use this money up or receive it or.
Well, since you gave me a heads up, I asked Terry to look into it. And first question was, of course, is the fire department even eligible for it? I know you said it was showing up on your stubs, and the answer to that is yes, they are. But you're right, there's no way to take personal time because you're not scheduled for anything, so,
Is this the personal time from that state law?
yeah.
Okay,
So my feeling is we just gotta pay them.
And so does that go away at the end of like December 31st, does that go away or does it
Yeah.
roll over?
No, it goes away, doesn't
but
it?
how do you get personal time if
Yeah,
you're
it's-
not scheduled?
Oh, but the law clearly applies to them, so I mean, I guess,
And there is an answer to it, because they had a lot of. When we first went down this path, they put out a bunch of Q&As on it. And this was one of the questions that's in there.
I think the answer was you just pay them.
Yeah.
And call it personal.
But if they don't have scheduled time, how do you determine what they get paid?
Because we're tracking the hours, it's based on their hours.
Yeah.
And-
Their
and
average,
their rate.
their average hours?
No, it's the system.
Right.
You can explain it, Terry.
Trio tracks, for what is it, for every 40 hours, you get 1 hour.
Okay,
So when you work 40 hours, Trio puts an hour in your
okay,
earned pay.
But it gets even more complicated because some people who work in both departments have hours. It doesn't separate
Right,
between ambulance and fire. Which makes it complicated.
yeah.
So
Um,
I think there's an answer to this. I just am not sure what it is right now.
Phil had a bunch of question and answer things in a folder that he had printed out, and we looked through it, we didn't really see anything that specifically
well,
addressed this.
I mean, we're not the only town with a fire department in the state of Maine,
Yep,
so MMA,
This is, nothing that no one has, Bill's the one that brought it to my attention, that, you might want to ask someone about this, because you know this. And, so no one has mentioned it to me that they want this money and or they want time off, so it's not like it's urgent right now. It just.
well, it would be nice to figure it out before the end of the fiscal year. though.
Yes.
yep,
And is it December or is it June?
December, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking, I said.
And we did amend our personnel policy to deal with this.
We didn't deal with this though.
We didn't, yeah, did deal with the larger issue, but not with this. Yeah. He's done, fire department's here. Well, why don't? I don't think we need to take any action on this. I think Terry, you need to work with David and Phil and maybe MMA and figure out the best way to do it. It strikes me the easiest way would be is at the end of some either quarterly or at the end of the year, everybody gets a check for whatever hours they've accumulated, and it's called personal, but I don't, huh?
Then Phil's gonna have to go through and separate these people, and these are ambulance.
Yeah.
Ambulance hours, I mean, most of the firefighters, it's not gonna be
I know it's gonna be pennies, right? I mean, hold on, pennies,
few hours.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it's gonna be $15 or something, right? Or
So why do you separate the ambulance hours from the,
Cause the ambulance can take.
oh, they can actually take
they
time
can-
off?
They work scheduled days, so. it's the
Right.
Whole day. And some of them have.
But allocating, say David, he's an example, say he has, I don't know, pull the number out, he's got 8 hours. You know, you need to go back and figure out. Is 1 hour of that attributable to fire department and 7 hours to the ambulance? I mean,
Regardless, one's gonna have to be charged for the ambulance, one's gonna have to be charged. for the
Right.
fire
Right.
department.
Right, and most of it's gonna be ambulance,
Most of it's gonna be
Yeah.
ambulance.
so I think it's something you need to try to administratively work out and.
And I think everyone will be fine with just, like, if they have a buyout at the, whatever they, like
Yeah.
you said, quarterly or just the end of the year,
Yeah,
the town just pays out that earned time.
because actually technically, aren't they supposed to request it?
They're supposed to request their time off,
Yeah.
so do they need to
Yeah.
request?
Again, I go back to what are other people doing?
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Great, thank you. It is confusing, but it's not our law. We were prepared to deal with the SOPs from the ambulance last meeting and this meeting, and we haven't seen Amy, we don't know if she's. So I know she was anxious to get them, and we've now tabled it 2 meetings, so I just want you guys to know that we're ready, so maybe we need to go to another workshop or something to do it. I don't know if she's busy at night these days, or,
I see her drive by me today, and she was in town.
but she hasn't, she gets the agendas, right?
Yeah, send them out to all department heads.
Yeah, so. We table it again now, I'm just passing that along.
Yeah, I'll write to her and
Yeah.
tell her that. Maybe she'll send you guys an email or something.
Okay. Contract with Maritime Energy to. Have I covered everything here? About personal time. Contract with Maritime Energy to install LP tanks for the generator at Guilford Butler. Are you gonna talk to us about this, Terry?
Okay, maybe Penny was here, but
She's in Michigan, so I don't think she's done.
Penny and I did meet down there. I can't even find it on Monday.
It was 8.
We gotta do something.
I think you did, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron from Maritime met us down there and said we would need. If I might add, Aaron. We would need 3 pigs, he said. Or tank, I guess it's 3 Delta tanks. The rental fee is $55 a year, but they would waive the fee for the 3rd one. And it was gonna cost $1,500 to install it. Penny was gonna build a little box. Because she thought it would look neater,
Mhm.
and they put crushed stone in and they'll set up the 3 tanks and they'll run the wire, the line. And hook it all up and then to fill it would be about $1,266 to fill all 3 of them. I did reach out to Dead River too, their cost to rent the tanks was higher, and our costs for propane would be higher to them because we don't really have any, besides this tank out here, we don't have an active account with them.
Right.
Did you say why 3 tanks?
The size. of
Probably the
it,
size of the building.
Excellent.
We have 2, my mother has 2 tanks. It's for her house.
Yeah, but this is an emergency generator, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, this one out here runs about 10 hours a year, right?
Yeah,
And we got this huge tank.
Until the power goes out.
I suppose, you're right. It's just powered over 3 or 4 days.
I mean, we had it running for 2 days.
Well, we come this far, we got. What am I gonna say?
So do we need a motion to approve the contract with them
I assume that's why it's on the agenda.
and to approve
The money to fill it.
the
Well, we
money?
were gonna use ARP, but now we have to use surplus.
or the library
Library.
education, we talked about that last time.
Yeah. I thought we were gonna use ARP money for this.
We were
That's what we
for,
used for the generator.
right.
Yeah.
I thought the whole project was gonna be,
I don't remember discussing using AI.
Just for the generator,
Just for the
Yeah.
generator,
but
yeah.
isn't this
Would
the
it be
generator?
eligible? Would it-
But we had the amount for the generator and that was what we approved. And then this wasn't really included in that amount.
no,
Because
You
she,
didn't have that on your list of,
no,
No.
okay.
just had the generator.
because she hadn't, I don't think she
Hadn't figured
realized it
that
was
far.
gonna, or didn't realize it wasn't included.
I don't think,
That it was a separate company and a separate amount.
And I recall discussing using it from the transfer funds, the library,
The relocation.
relocation.
that's what I remember.
Well, it's kind of 6 1 half dozen the other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with either one. I just, for some reason, it just feels right to me as a. Even though it's not technically an ARP fund, but it feels more. Feels right in terms of my personal vision of those funds.
Are you thinking of it that way because the generators, they're more as for an emergency shelter than as a library function?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it sort of lost its identity already anyways, because we use it to pay for the paving, but.
Did-
uh,
Did we leave anything in? Do we still have? Didn't we
No,
commit
zeroed
everything?
it out. That was the idea.
Yeah, that's what I was
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So.
But if we use surplus, it just in my mind, it kind of connects dot 1 to 2 to 3.
Oh, so you'd rather use surplus?
I would, because of
Okay.
that logic in my own.
Yeah, I can,
evil little
I can,
mind
buy that.
here.
I can buy that. I can buy that. Yeah.
So that would be my preference, but it's not a hill to die on for me.
No, that's, yeah, because again, a 6 1 half dozen other.
By that, I'd like to spend down that surplus while we're all still alive, keeping track of it.
Yeah, exactly. Although who knows, we may have already spent it all, even though I was very optimistic the other day on, I don't know.
You need help?
Okay, so I move that we approve and execute the contract with Maritime Energy and use surplus to pay for the propane.
Again, a friendly amendment to authorize Terry to
Yes,
execute.
yes, authorized.
Okay. I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
So we don't need to do
No.
anything with that.
We've only one signature line, that's why.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay. All right, residing.
I have one other question.
Go ahead.
Jeff said you surplus for the propane, does it mean for installation on the propane?
No, for
I think the whole.
to fill the tanks, I thought.
Okay, how are we gonna pay for the installation?
I thought we already had that designated.
No,
No,
Oh,
that was my point.
I thought we had the tanks.
No, I thought we had it on our contemplated
We had-
list.
we just had the generator on the list.
We didn't have this on.
We didn't.
We didn't
But
have.
I thought your motion was the whole to install and fill.
Well. That is now my motion.
Okay.
Because I thought we had everything except the actual propane. Already
No.
accounted for. We'd already calculated that. So
I thought we had two, and that
I'm
it was just like, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the
We had it on
propane.
the earmark list, but we hadn't done it because we hadn't signed the contract.
So was it on the earmark list? Was it still
I don't
under the
remember. Mary said
ARP
no.
funds?
We had the generator on the earmark list.
Yeah,
Yeah, but for some reason I thought that. I don't know. So if you haven't already accounted for the propane tanks. The installation of the propane tanks,
She hasn't.
okay, then surpluses where it should go from.
Okay. I don't think we need to change the motion. I think we're,
Yeah.
as
Just
long as you, as
clarifying.
long as you want. Okay, you good?
Yep.
All right, residing the Little Red Schoolhouse. I sent you that memo, forwarded that proposal from the gentleman Dwayne. He basically said that if we want to do this, we need to let them know right away to get on the schedule this year. I did check with Bev. They've done work with Bev and Scott, and they're satisfied with them. Bev mentioned that she's done work with David Elwell, and I called David, and David said, yeah, he built my garage last year. I'm very happy with him. But he won't do the trim because he doesn't paint. So we gotta find someone else to do the trim. But my feeling is, I've talked to at least 4 contractors who have no interest in this project for at least 2 years. So I think we should strike while the iron's hot and get it lined up. But,
Absolutely, I agree on it.
so,
I can go with that.
yeah, and then Bev's gonna continue to look for someone who can do the trim and paint, and even if we have to maybe get someone to do. Geez, Joe Guppy, can you do this wall and somebody else, just the trim? Well, and maybe even some volunteers or something, so. I do have a question, though. I looked at the will, the Randall Hopkins will. And my understanding was that this re-siding project, which we've been talking about, seems like forever. We're gonna come out of if you basically look at the Hopkins Fund, there's sort of 3 funds in there, but one of them split in 2. And it's under the 7th. My understanding that this was gonna come out of the fund to upkeep and preserve the Little Red Schoolhouse for a public library. That's where this was gonna be paid for from, this and other costs associated with this. And I believe that was Penny's understanding as well. But in reading this, it says, or if the property shall no longer be so used as a library. than for such public library as established by the town of South Thomaston. So I guess I'm not 100% clear that since we've now moved the library, that we can use this money.
Well, and then it says 1/2 for the general use of South Thomaston Historical
Right,
Society.
and they're using that, and my understanding is they have plans for that, and I don't think it was their intent to use this for the exterior of the building, which we are responsible for. So I'm just not clear, to be quite honest with you. And I wanted to call that to your attention. I almost think that when we started having this conversation about repainting, it started out as a repainting, it was still a library.
Yeah.
And it's taken so long to get here. And I see Walter's on Zoom, and Walter perhaps could add to this discussion, but
I would like to add to the discussion. Can you hear me?
we can.
From my way of thinking, and that because I did kick the tires on this when I was on this board with Kristen, that the town has designated the Little Red Schoolhouse as its library, which is referred to in the Randall Hopkins will. And the town has not designated the Guilford Butler Center as its library. What it has done in the warrant article from a few years ago was to say that the Guilford Butler School was the temporary home of the library.
Good
Yeah.
point.
So to me, funds from the Hopkins Trust can be used for the Little Red Schoolhouse because it remains as the official library of the town. And I think that keeps you consistent with the terms of the will and the fact that you guys are the trustees.
And Penny's not here, but I could have sworn she has said to me several times that she knows that his intent with this money was to preserve that Little Red Schoolhouse.
Right.
So I don't think she's expecting that this money is gonna flow to, quote, the new temporary library.
Okay.
But I couldn't confirm that with her because she's not here today. And but I don't know that we actually even need to decide this tonight. But if we're comfortable with this, I mean, there's no police here that are gonna come arrest us, and Walter's right, we are the trustees, and
Yeah, and I agree with him that it as established by the town of South Thomaston. And until we do something more than a temporary move of the library, which is all we've done so far, then this still applies. And then, and the previous one, the 6th paragraph, I think that does for the library itself, right?
oh yeah, that's
So there's
clear.
separate.
That's for books and equipment,
Right.
right? And it doesn't matter where the library.
And so it's pretty clear to me that what Penny said before, that this paragraph is for the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Well, it
And
even
the
says
previous-
that.
And the previous one is for the library, so I have no problem at all.
I mean, the only issue is here, in my mind. Or if the property shall no longer be so used, then for such public library as established by the town of South Thomaston, I guess, is that prohibited or permissive?
Let's see, I maintain that, I mean, our agreement with the Historical Society is that if and when the library has to relocate there, that it will.
It could go back.
It would go
Go
back.
back there.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I agree with
yeah.
with what Walter said. We have never said
Yeah.
that is no longer the library.
I mean, I'm comfortable with this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. That's all I'm saying. Because when I read it again, I went, "Ooh."
Yeah.
And again, I really do think this conversation started when it wasn't. The library.
That's the other part.
But So I don't think we need to vote on that tonight, we just need to vote on accepting the proposal. We're obviously gonna have to negotiate an agreement with, to get us some shut stuff and.
Yeah.
I can't remember, do we have a motion on the floor, did we vote on it?
We did not.
Okay,
But I would move that we move forward with contracting him to do the work.
okay,
I'll second that.
further discussion, obviously pending. Submittal of insurance and,
Mhm.
you know, administrative things that Terry needs to jump through and. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay.
I'm sorry, John, is the motion that the funds come from the portion of the will that is for the upkeep of the library, or from the principal that is designated? I think they're two different things, aren't they?
Yeah, the motion didn't include the funding, it simply just voted to move forward with
Contract.
contracting or developing, contracting, getting insurance and stuff like that, and getting them, basically getting them scheduled. There's some other details that I think need to be, when you, I didn't want to get into this, but I will. When you really get out there and look at it, there's some other issues, like that ramp is on the side there is starting to rot, it's blocking shingles. It doesn't meet the 2-to-1. So is that gonna be removed? I mean, there's some conversation that needs to happen down there about certain details that don't really come up until you really kind of look at it. Oh, what about that? So, but the important thing was just at this point to get it on this guy's schedule.
Right, okay, got it, thanks.
All right. What do we got left?
Very quickly on the CEO/administrators report. iWork, is that up and running? or-
Almost,
Almost.
almost there. We've been entering permits into it. We're just waiting, but we've had trouble getting our report from Vision that would automatically pull in our parcel and owner name and all that stuff. We've done it like 4 times and still haven't given her information that she wants for it.
Hmm.
But I've been issuing permits from there. So
Good.
it's gonna be good.
And Kevin's still out. He's still not available.
Kevin was here today.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he actually had several appointments. I checked several accounts and they seem to be effective.
Okay, cool.
Are we, oh, and I know you got a lot going on, are we close to picking, like, what you determined as CEO to be our 10 most egregious violators of the
Yeah,
solid waste ordinance and actually sending out a,
I mailed them Friday.
oh, you did?
I sent
Junkie,
that,
the junkie yard.
my junkyard.
Yeah, was it
The first
10? How many were there?
It was eight, and then I sent out 4 new ones. 2 new complaints. And I sent them the original.
When you said new ones, you didn't mean the citation, you meant
Warning.
you didn't mean a warning, you just sent the
I
previous
sent
list.
the original one that we sent in January. I sent to
Okay,
4
good.
new people.
So you gave them the same process?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you selected 8 of what you feel were the most egregious violators and they went Friday. And they have 30 days from when they receive them to deal with junk and 3 days to deal with garbage.
Yeah. There was only one
One.
that had actual
Garbage,
garbage
okay.
and I should have driven down there today, but I didn't. I will tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I did notice a couple people that got letters have started to go up to their yard and okay,
Anybody respond today?
nope.
Okay. Okay. So, I guess the thought is you're gonna wait a little bit, see how this develops, and then maybe at the next 8 or 10 second tier egregious violation.
Some of those people that I sent the first ones out to really, I feel they did make a really huge effort to clean up.
But are they there?
Define there.
Well,
You know, they-
there is,
A lot better,
there is in compliance with the ordinance.
I could send a letter to everyone in town, John.
It's still subject to under CEOs.
I think some people. I don't know, I guess I just feel like there's a line there. They
Yeah,
got rid
well-
of a lot of the junk.
Yeah, I know you have a CEO, you have discretion, but I would personally. Even if you feel someone is making progress, you may want to document. I haven't issued you a formal warning because I saw progress, but that progress needs to continue. Something to that
Yeah,
effect.
and
A
then you
little,
see-
a little.
But then you see that they've got it, oh, wow, that looks really good, and then a week later you go by and it's like, whoops, I guess we're sliding again.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
well, it's a process. It's gonna be a constant process, but.
And sometimes people who like to collect junk or collect stuff. They might clean it up, but then they start,
sliding back.
yeah, I mean, they find more stuff and
And it might be, they'll think, oh, this is just.
this is different stuff.
New sheriff in town, this is pass.
Right,
Yeah, well.
I think it's gonna be progress,
Okay,
and I think it's time consuming.
yeah, it's gonna be. Okay,
Remember that.
anything else on any of the, anything else on any of the reports? Okay. No donations, so we have a consideration of performance payments. I actually would like to do that in executive session, and we also have discussion of a personnel issue, which I'd also like to do an executive session. Actually, I think they both are personnel issues, so we probably can discuss them both under one motion. Have I got everything?
Next meeting.
July 18th, right, or
Yeah, unless we do a workshop.
so we're gonna have appointments on July 18th.
Yeah.
We need to sort out who's what and anything for town meeting, any issues of setup or
I don't,
we're gonna have a microphone.
just what we had last year,
Okay,
unless someone knows someone
Yeah.
that has something better.
okay.
Wonder if Penny does Penny have a better microphone system? Yeah, I don't think so.
If there's no objection, I'd like to, meet with John Falla, who has indicated he would, if elected, he would serve as our moderator.
Yep.
And kind of review the warrant with him a little bit, and I think it helps.
Yep.
If there's no objection,
None
Okay.
whatsoever. I think it's good.
I'll do that then, now that we have a second. Okay, so is there a motion to?
I'm sorry, John, I did have, have you?
Sorry.
I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Have you set the date for, the meeting with Kevin to, set the mill rate?
I don't believe so,
No.
no.
All right, I just, when you do that, I want to encourage the budget committee members to attend for their own edification and knowledge, because some of them hopefully are future leaders and they ought to understand this process.
Okay, Kevin, I don't know when he said today, I spoke with him briefly. He told me he still had quite a bit of work to do. I don't know what, I didn't quantify that with him, but.
Okay. I'll stay close to Terry on this.
All right, yeah. And Terry, you were gonna check some of those factoring things too, right?
Yeah, and I have factored, I have checked. I'm sorry, I've been sick, I need some sleep. I've been a bunch drunk. I have checked a bunch of them, and when I go in to check somebody's, if they call about something, I'll. After I'm done talking to them, I'll check. If there's what's good.
Yeah, and it seems like it's, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And there will be mistakes, and we'll have to deal with that through abatements or something else. but-
Yeah, and
okay.
Kevin did say that, if you're doing one, you might find one that seems really weird or off to you. but it could be a change that was made since the last commitment, so that,
Right, it could be like if they got an exemption or they added a garage on,
Right.
or, right, yeah, exactly. So. Okay, so is there a motion into executive session to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to Title 1 MRSA, Section 4056C?
Yes. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion, all those in favor?
want the door shut?
If you would, and.
Thank
would
you.
Would you shut, make sure the, YouTube's off? Actually, don't do, right?
Yep.